Thank you for your patience. Awesome.
I just made mine a co-host.
Awesome. Okay, great. Welcome everybody to ACM Impact's second workshop in our Careers in Social Impact Tech series. ACM Impact, we're the branch of ACM that does like social tech for good. Actually, tech for good is Nova's motto, so I'll let them take over in a sec. Just really quick, we do fun workshops like this. We also have a blog and we're accepting interns. So make sure to check us out on the ACM website. Applications are due at the end of the month. And I'll just do next slide, please. You guys know me, I'm Alyssa and Jason. We're the ACM impact officers in charge of this workshop. But really, next slide, please. So our series, last week you heard me and Jason talk about careers in social impact tech, just a short intro. And this workshop is really special in that I get to show off one of my favorite clubs on campus and just a bunch of my best friends and their club called Nova, which does tech for good. So I'll hand the mic off to them.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. Yeah, so we'll just be introducing the Nova team. So I'm Natalia. I'm a third-year computer science major, and I'm a developer at Nova. My pronouns are she, her.
Hi, guys. I'm Max. I'm a fourth year at UCLA, and I'm a computer science major, and my pronouns are he and him.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley. I'm a third year CS major, and I'm a developer at Nova, and my pronouns are she, her.
Hey, everyone. My name is Kevin. I'm a fourth year CS major. I do development as well. My pronouns are he, him.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aneri. I'm a fourth year business econ major, minoring in entrepreneurship, and my pronouns are she, her.
Awesome. Again, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And so today, to start off, we'll be starting it off with a Nova tradition. So every week we reflect on our week and basically kind of score ourselves based on our happiness. So for you guys, on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being highest, what would you rate your happiness this past week and why? So feel free to drop that in chat along with a short intro, including your name and major. And let's all do that. I hope we've all had a good week so far. I know midterms are hitting, but it's been great. 7.5, okay, starting strong. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you, Maya. That's so great. So happy for you. Wait, we're in the upper. We're kind of having high scores today. Oh, wait, so you're basically off the scale then, Alyssa, if it's with the factorial. Oh my gosh, they're all rolling in. Oh no, Jason, feel better. Oh no, you fell off your skateboard, Sydney. It's okay, shake it off, shake it off. Amazing. Okay, thank you so much for joining, everyone, and thank you for sharing. I hope that next week will be an even better week. Okay, so just a little bit about what we'll go over today. So first, we'll be talking about Nova, how we got started, and then we'll be talking about some of our projects and nonprofit partnership, and some of our projects include are usually technical projects with some sort of focus on a certain like sector. So we have focuses on like homelessness, food insecurity, mentorship, and a bunch more. Then we'll be going on to our group activity. Then as Nova members, we'll just be reflecting on kind of the lessons that we learned through kind of experiencing through meeting nonprofits and experiencing what it's like to work with people in the nonprofit sector. And then from there, we'll be talking about how you guys can make a difference in this sector. Okay, so I will hand it off to Max, who will be talking about how Nova got started.
Yeah, thank you, Natalia. So I guess right before we talk about how we got started, just kind of reiterate what is Nova. I guess we are a group of developers, designers, business people, but really anyone that wants to go out there and do something good with the skills that we have as college students. So yeah, I guess we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so I think, so I guess like I was one of the founding members of Nova, so I can kind of talk about the early days a little bit. And I think one of my favorite things about Nova is that like, I guess when we started, it wasn't really about like, hey, let's start like a student org. It was more like just a bunch of people who got together. It's like, hey, like let's just do something, right? Like we're all college students. Let's just go out there and do something. So yeah, next slide. The first thing we did was we literally sat down together in Reber Hall, and we basically said, okay, like, you know, we know how to code, we know how to design. Let's just cold email a bunch of nonprofits and see like if they have any ideas for projects to collaborate on. So we just Googled nonprofits in Los Angeles, and then that's what we did. So here's like our very first list that we came up with of 10 nonprofits, and the reds, like highlighted ones, are like the ones that actually replied and we ended up working with. So Westside Food Bank and the Giving Spirit. Yeah, so like I guess this is just the reply that we got. We just sent out an email saying, hey, we're college students, you want to work with us? And they're like, sure, let's hop on a call and see what we can talk about. And after like literally like a 1 hour call, we were just like, hey, like, so Westside Food Bank, like they wanted us to help with like their food pantry map. So, you know, that was like our very first project. And like at this point, like I had no idea how to make apps or anything, but I knew that like, you know, like we knew that we had the desire to learn and like just create something. So it really, I guess the point is it really was that easy. Like all we did was we sat down, we drafted some emails, hopped on a call, and boom, like it was our very first project. So it was really cool. Yeah. And like, I guess we worked on a couple projects, and like over time we built them out, and we, you know, eventually ended up testing them in the real world. So here's like a winter break, sophomore year. We went, no, winter break freshman year, I think. And we basically, okay, wait, I'm forgetting the exact time, but basically we went out with the Giving Spirit. They're a nonprofit where they gather volunteers to distribute care packages to the homeless, like the unsheltered homeless in LA. So one of their problems was that they have like thousands of volunteers. But when it comes to actually distributing these packages, there's a lot of inefficiencies, right? Because a lot of people, they end up going to the same areas. And sometimes you spend more time driving around because everyone's already gotten a package in a certain area. Whereas like no one went to some other area where people still need packages, right? So so kind of the solution we came up with was, hey, like, can we coordinate volunteers using a mobile app to like help distribute them better? And we ended up testing this with them. And to me, like this is probably one of the most like crazy moments in early Nova, because you know, all this time I'm kind of sitting behind a computer, but this is like one of the first times where you actually go out there and you see, you know, your project doing something, like providing value in the real world, and you're just there. And I think like there's some, like, you know, anyone can code something, but I think there's an added element to actually seeing it like do something. And I thought that was really cool. And additionally, I think when it comes to like just learning about the issues that are out there, like I'm sure like at least at that point, like I've obviously like we all know that there's like this huge homeless problem, right? And this is just like a social issue that people face. But it's one thing to read about it on the news, and it's another thing to actually go out there onto the streets and talk to these people. And so I think it's also just like a huge learning experience. And that's like, yeah, like it was really inspiring and like motivating, I guess, to just learn more and see like, hey, here's how we can do something about it, or like at least help. So yeah. But I guess since then, yeah, we've done a lot. So here's like, you know, a bunch of logos of nonprofits that we work with. And I guess like whenever you see, you know, a bunch of logos, you're like, wow, like, you know, Nova's worked with so many people, like we have like such a big network. But honestly, like when I look at these logos, it's just like every single one of them like what I see behind the logo is like I see specific people that we work with, and really like everyone's united by this common goal. It's just people out there trying to do something, right? Try to do something that's good for society. And I think to kind of sum things up, like kind of the biggest lesson I learned throughout Nova is that I guess it could seem a bit daunting at first to like, go out there and work with like real organizations with like, real people, I guess, doing real things. And it's like, wow, it's so official, but really like behind all of that facade is just, I mean, it's not really a facade, but it feels like one. But when you actually start talking with these people, you realize everyone is so willing to just collaborate and talk together and work together. And really like, it's super genuine and just super nice. And yeah, people are willing to work with you and everyone just has that same goal. So I think that's really inspiring as well. So those are some of how Nova got started, I guess, where we are now, and like kind of what are some of the things that at least keep me going throughout this whole process. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Max. And it's honestly, it's been, I believe like 2 or 3 years since Nova has started. So honestly, the growth that we experienced from first just simply cold emailing nonprofits to now nonprofits actually like coming to us and asking us to build their projects for them, and just overall developing some really inspiring and empowering projects for the communities that they serve. The growth from that point to where we are today is very, very amazing. Okay, awesome. And then so now we'll be talking a little bit more about our projects and kind of how our collaboration went with our nonprofit partners throughout. So we'll be starting off with Ashley, and she'll be talking about the Mentor Center.
Thank you, Natalia, for bringing it to me. The first project that we'll be covering is, as Natalia said, the Center for it's Mentor Center in a collaboration with the Center for Radical Innovation and Social Change, based in Chicago. They were founded by the author of the book Freakonomics, Stephen Levitt, in order to tackle some of the world's toughest issues. So to give some context, mentorship is a human connection that most anyone seeks in life, but the most common setting by which people receive mentorship is within established structures that often only exist within like corporate or academic environments. So less funded organizations or communities that want to start mentorship programs would need to scrape together resources of all kinds, spreadsheets, Google Forms, mass email services, website creation services, and more in order to simply have a structure to base a mentorship program on. And so our partners approached us with an idea that we should create an application that acts as a filterable, searchable people directory specifically for mentorship programs. And this would allow for any potential mentee of any community to find their personal mentor match. Initially, we thought this was a pretty simple task that we could solve using existing applications, but we soon found that existing solutions weren't catered enough towards building communities to make it work. And honestly, we really didn't know what the problem we were trying to solve was at the very start when they approached us. So within the first quarter of taking on this project, we spent a lot of time just researching mentorship programs and talking to them, both established and unestablished mentorship programs, about what their pain points were and figuring out how we could really address their pain points with technology. And so our goal quickly shifted from creating a people directory to making mentorships fulfilling, to enabling organizations and communities alike to start and improve on their mentorship programs. If you could go to the next slide, thank you. And so we ended up building a platform that acts as a one-stop shop for all components you need to start a mentorship program while giving mentees of a program the power to find mentors on their own. And our first feature was simply creating mentorship programs. Then we added a people directory. Then we made an application similar to Google Forms. And slowly, we brought together all of the different resources that I mentioned before into a place that people could really just start mentorship programs without any prior technical knowledge. And so over the process, we actually scrapped a lot of our work. Creating a very basic version of the product and honestly just redoing the entire tech stack. But along the way, all of the people that we worked with at Risk offer their utmost support, funds, and respect for all of our members. while discussing important product points. And although the project is still ongoing, we're currently beta testing with a lot of mentorship programs, and I'm super excited to see where this project goes from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley, for that overview and for coming out, even if you're outside. Okay, next I'll be handing it off to Kevin to talk more about Project Ropa.
Yeah, thanks. So I'll be talking about Project Ropa, which is another nonprofit that Nova has worked with in the past. So for some context, Project Ropa is a free mobile hygiene service for people experiencing homelessness in the LA area. So what that means is they bring clothing, hygiene kits, hand sanitizer, face masks, and even food and water directly to homeless people by driving around vans across LA. And Project Ropa serves hundreds of people a week, but they didn't have an efficient way of keeping track of the people they served. And they need that data for a few reasons. So including government liability, government funding, and just like a measurement of the overall impact they're creating. And before we reached out to them, Project Ropa used Google Forms to keep track of the population they served. But Google Forms doesn't account for serving people multiple times, which is inefficient for their check-ins. And they also had to do lots of manual data processing after it was recorded. And then another factor was since Project Ropa, they drive around LA in vans, they often have either poor service or like an inconsistent internet connection, which also doesn't work well with Google Forms. So they needed a different solution. So after discussing these issues with them, we came up with this super simple technical solution to directly address their problems, which you see on the screen here. Basically, it's just an offline forms mobile app with a check-in functionality. And unlike Mentor Center, our problems were really clear here. So we didn't need to spend a lot of time on product ideation, and we had our requirements defined out by talking to them within just a few days. So the app itself essentially just has 3 screens, and we built it in about a week, but it's helped them serve hundreds more homeless individuals and obtain increased funding from the government. And I think this project really goes to show how even simple solutions can have a large impact as long as you're looking for the right problems to solve.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. I love that message. I love that it hits home. Okay. And then our third project we'll be talking about today is actually a collaboration with a UCLA organization called SwipeOut. So SwipeOut Hunger is dedicated towards advocating for the food insecure student population within UCLA in hopes of ending student hunger. So, so one of the problems that we learned about while talking with this organization is that 40% of college students are food insecure. And if you guys are older upperclassmen, you may recall that at the end of every quarter, SwipeOut Hunger would organize a food donation drive. And then so this would happen at the end of the quarter where people who have extra swipes, they're able to kind of donate them, and then we convert them into meal vouchers, then which the food insecure students can use. So yeah, so one of the problems with this is that the end of the year drive, the end of the quarter drive, it would only happen for 1 week. So we kind of wanted to create some sort of we wanted to make donating swipes a regular experience that doesn't have to be at the end of the quarter. It could be it can just go on whenever. So not only with that, but we also found out that requesting for meal vouchers is a stigmatized process that many students actually don't know about. And it also requires you to be eligible and fulfill for certain requirements in order to be able to obtain and use the vouchers. So again, it's just all about accessibility, how for any student that needs a meal swipe, we can easily provide that for them. So our solution is that we decided to build a mobile app that would serve as a meal swipe sharing, where in the middle over here, students can request for meal swipes. They can select the dining hall, and they can select the time of availability. And then that request will be published into another tab where donators can select which request they want to fulfill, and they can meet with the requestee at the time of availability. And then from there, the donator can swipe in the donee. Okay, yeah, so honestly, this is one of my favorite projects because we are really, because all the conversations we had with SwipeOut Hunger were very insightful. So for instance, I got I was able to learn a lot more about the audience that we were helping. So specifically the food insecure student population. So I learned that they often had to rely on the CPO food closet. And then so because of that, obviously there was like a limited supply that the food closet would support every day. So by just having like a more accessible and easier way to have students help each other out, this was kind of one of the things I really value about this app. And then also they were just, again, as I mentioned, they were kind of like drawbacks to the end of the year, end of the quarter drive where it was just offered for once a week. And we really wanted to make, we really wanted to just normalize the idea of donating swipes to each other and students supporting each other. And then also one of the conversations that I really enjoyed was that, how do we incentivize students to donate? Is it just because like their goodwill of their heart, or do we kind of want to include more incentives? Like, for instance, like gamify it and offer rewards within the app, or kind of set a school-wide goal in which everyone can contribute and reach that goal. Yeah, so overall, it was very interesting, I guess, like product questions. And it all honestly just opened my eyes regarding the student population at UCLA. The fact that like there are students struggling out there and that we can create a technical solution to help them. Yeah, so that is SwipeOut Hunger. And then I will hand it off to Aneri to talk about the Lucky Duck Foundation.
Thanks, Natalia. So the last project that we'll be discussing is with the Lucky Duck Foundation, which is a large nonprofit that serves San Diego's homeless population. They provide a wide variety of services, such as finding housing and employment, but during COVID, they also had this huge program to deliver meals to people experiencing homelessness. They were producing over 3,000 meals each week, and they had the capacity to produce more, but they didn't know where they should be expanding delivery to. And so when we reached out through a cold email and we asked them if there was anything we could help them with, they came back to us with this goal of, figuring out which parts of San Diego County they should be expanding delivery to. And with this vague description of what they would like us to find and mention of some specific public data sets on homelessness, it was up to us to find an approach to solve the problem. And we wanted to create some sort of metric where we could essentially predict homelessness, which we figured out is quite hard to do. So like one method we thought about was inputting effects of high homelessness as a metric for the current state of homelessness. So looking at factors such as number of homeless shelters, affordable housing units, or simply use existing numbers on homelessness. And the second approach was to look at factors that contribute to high homelessness, such as poverty, rent prices, and substance abuse, mental health issues. And if you want to go to the next slide, what we essentially determined was that it was really hard to find good data sets on these issues, on like these specific factors. And oftentimes the data sets would use different like geographic metrics. So some would use zip codes, some would use census tracts, some would just use city names. And so it was really hard to kind of put everything in the same terms. What we ended up deciding to use were the two most reliable data sets. So there was one from 2018 on the number of unsheltered homeless individuals. And so here we visualized it on Tableau, and you can see that there's some in the south, like by San Diego City, and then there's some regions in the north, specifically like where we have 4 by Carlsbad and Oceanside. And then if you click to the next slide, we then mapped Lucky Duck deliveries, and we found that, in the north, there was essentially no deliveries being done. And so we thought like this is like a preliminary way to see like where there's gaps. If you could click onto the next slide. But we wanted to do something like a little bit more valuable besides just, mapping like current data. So we decided to come up with a deficit metric to capture the difference between the expected number of meals to an area and how much Lucky Duck had actually been distributing. And then if you click onto the next slide, we were then able to use that deficit metric to identify 10 census tracts where if they expanded into, they could serve hundreds more individuals each week, and identify and we also identified key partners nearby each of these regions. So there was a technical aspect to this project, which involved some math, but then there was also a large non-technical portion of this project where we were identifying key partners. And for Lucky Duck, key partners are the people that actually like are on the streets distributing the meals. And we were able to like do a pros and cons list for using high schools, community colleges, youth organizations, or religious institutions to see which of these types of social orgs would be most likely to help Lucky Duck distribute the meals. So in all, it was a really interesting project because we got to like combine both the nonprofits data as well as government data to come up with like tangible recommendations that are very specific, because census tracts are a really small area. So that was really cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anyuri. And then, yeah, so this is a few of our many projects. So if you're interested in checking out all the other work we do, feel free to visit our website. Okay, next we'll be going over our group activity. So I will challenge you guys to select a nonprofit and do some research on their mission and any problems that they're encountering. And then based on your findings, try to ideate some technical and non-technical solution that you think would benefit and help support the mission of the nonprofit. And I challenge you to do an even more extra step, which is evaluating the impact of your solution. So think about what is the scale of your impact? Will it save money? Will it serve this amount of people? And think about if there are other existing solutions and how your solution is better than the other existing ones. So actually this process is kind of how we as Nova do our nonprofit outreach and kind of how we decide to take on a project. So yeah, so these are some of the nonprofits that you guys can research. So we have Jazz Hands for Autism, which is dedicated towards supporting musically inclined individuals on the autism spectrum. Or we have Wags and Walks, which helps promote shelter dogs and overall just help volunteers, help dog walkers pair dogs from dog shelters so that they can get the support that they need. Okay, awesome. So now we can go into breakout rooms and then we can start this activity.
I'll create the breakout rooms right now. How does 4 sound? We'll have like 2 with, wow, I love to see the people drop. I'll assign people. Assign is.
And also one more thing, how long do we want to do the breakout rooms for? I'm just keeping an eye on time for us, and it's 6:30. So and I see that you have a few more slides left to go, so I want to make sure we're conscious of how much time we have left.
I appreciate that. Let's say 10 minutes.
All right, I'm gonna open the rooms. Oh, and actually Maya could have stopped recording. Oopsie.
Lessons that we've learned. So now we'll be talking about the lessons we learned just throughout this journey of working with nonprofits. Okay, and then so my Nova presenters, feel free to contribute your thoughts to this to this list, because obviously this is just like a few of the many lessons that we have learned so far. So okay, so I think the first lesson that personally stood out to me is that not all problems have technical solutions. I think that there are like some problems out there where it's kind of, let's see, there's some problems out there where like it's like that just technology can't solve. Like it's because of like some sort of legislative or like political barriers that that kind of what do you call this? That kind of cause that problem to happen. But just like with the amount of like tech that we could do, or the amount of like lines of code that we write, sometimes that problem can't be solved. And then there's just other situations where like nonprofits have some sort of problem that they want to solve, but tech can't solve that. So for instance, one of our members, Annabert, he reached out to the Daniel's Music Foundation, and they're all about providing free music education to those with disabilities and just showing the world that music doesn't discriminate. And so what he found out was that actually just after calls, it was clear that while thinking of ideas for a project, that overall just kind of our ideas didn't match. So for instance, at Nova, we make technical products such as apps, websites, web pages that provide some sort of service for the nonprofit. While on the other hand, Daniel's Music Foundation, they already had this well fleshed out music education program. So they didn't necessarily need some sort of product or service to be made. They just kind of needed help with scaling their content and reaching a larger audience. So even though our goals or ideas for projects didn't match, it's just a testament to how like not all like sometimes you can't really use tech to make a difference. You can't use tech to kind of help out the nonprofit. So on Daniel's Music Foundation, what they wanted was obviously less technical, and it was more marketing and strategy and business oriented. But regardless, even if the goals didn't align, we did learn a lot just from talking from that nonprofit, and we learned a ton about the music education space. Okay, does anyone from Nova have any other ideas that they want to contribute to this lesson? I'm sure that we all have.
Yeah, I could share like one story that I've remembered. Just spent a lot of time talking to Los Angeles Walks. They're like this nonprofit based in LA that their mission is just to make the streets safer for pedestrians. And yeah, I think a lot of their issues, like a lot of things they want to do, were really just like blocked by policy, basically, like city policy, right? Like they want more signs to be installed in certain places. When people request for sidewalks to be fixed, sometimes it takes a really long time to go through the whole pipeline to get approved by the city, and only the city is like really allowed to do the fixes. So like that was one place where it was really tough to like make technical advance. Like one idea we had was like, what if we just created something that made it a lot easier for people to report like broken sidewalks, for example, because right now it's like not super easy. But it turns out like if you look at the numbers, like people still do report broken sidewalks, and actually the bottleneck isn't the reports, the bottleneck is always the service. So that's one place where we were like, hey, like even if we did build, like an app or something, we're not solving the problem really, right? So yeah.
Thank you, Max. Okay, then we'll go on to our second lesson. So we learned that there's kind of a data management problem across many nonprofit organizations. So overall, just many of the nonprofits we talked to, they always cited a need for a more efficient system for gathering data, processing data, and analyzing data, because sometimes their database systems weren't user-friendly or tailored to their needs, or other times the process of collecting their data was manual, or in fact, even just through pen and paper. And then they would have to transcribe their results digitally, which would result in information loss. So yeah, so that was just a common problem that we encountered. And then maybe one day there could be like a solution that would kind of fit, we could develop that kind of would solve all these, that every nonprofit could use to solve this problem. Or what we also do at Nova is that if we see that, if we also refer to existing solutions that if nonprofits are kind of facing a problem. So we actually like suggested that they utilize Notion or Excel. So yeah, that's kind of like the experiences that we had with this. Anything else that Nova members want to contribute to this, or? Okay, awesome. And then I think the third lesson that really stuck out to me is that anyone, no matter what your skill level is, can make a difference. So again, as Max mentioned, Nova kind of just started out as a freshman just wanting to make a difference. And then obviously you don't have to be experts in whatever field you're in. I think just having the ability that you're willing to learn about the world around you, and you're willing to understand and listen to everyone's perspectives, and just collaborate and really contribute as much as you can. Honestly, just from having that drive alone can just kind of create this new journey and new like partnership, and you learn a lot throughout the process. Yeah, so if you guys are interested in kind of doing this yourself, reaching out and collaborating with nonprofits, I urge you to be very proactive about it. Make sure to reach out and contribute your ideas based on all the new things and problems you're hearing from nonprofits. Okay, anything else that NOVA members want to contribute to this lesson or? Okay, awesome. Okay, so again, this is how you guys can make a difference. So if you guys are interested in partnering with a nonprofit, so I guess the first step you can do is you should do research about a nonprofit and just straight up email them expressing your interest and requesting for a call. And then from there, make sure that you do research before the call and really prepare some questions beforehand. And then so when you're on the call, just really try to dig deep and understand like the pain points that these nonprofits are facing. And then I also want to emphasize that nonprofits are very approachable. As Max said, every single one of the nonprofits that we had calls with, they were very welcoming and very kind of impressed that we wanted to help out. And because these individuals are so passionate about what they do, just any sort of extra hands that people want to contribute, they're always welcome towards it. And then so either you can start your own project through a nonprofit collaboration, or you can contribute to an established project already through open source software projects. So open source software is basically code that's public, so anyone can see, modify, and distribute the code. And then so you can check out that link for some great open source projects. But here are some open source projects that we have worked with nonprofits in the past. So I have Appia, which is a edtech nonprofit that provides free interactive lessons using their open source web platform. And then we have HeriDocs, which is dedicated towards making human rights information more open and accessible to the defenders who need it. And they do this through their open source database application called Huazi, which allows human rights defenders to manage their information and other documents. Okay, so overall, thank you so much, guys, for attending our workshop. We hope that you learned a lot and you feel a lot more empowered and inspired and kind of have a better direction in terms of contributing to the nonprofit space. And obviously, us as NOVA, you can always come to us if you have any questions and we'll support you throughout the process. And then so before we end off, we have our membership portal code for the ACM member portal, so feel free to copy the code. And then we had our feed form, which will be dropped in chat. And then I will open it up to a Q&A if you guys have any questions about any of the content that we covered or any specific experiences that we explained that you want to hear more in depth. We're all ears. So feel free to drop in chat or even or just unmute yourselves.